In the impenetrable silence of dawn in 1623, a piercing lament shattered the marble walls of Topkapi Palace. These were not cries of war wounds or captured enemies. These were the screams of 15-year-old Princess Fatma Sultan, daughter of the most powerful ruler on earth. Her voice shook the corridors like ice blades, and even the eunuchs guarding the doors recoiled in terror, not daring to interrupt this forbidden moment. What happened that night was no ordinary domestic misfortune, but a revelation of the hidden price every sultan's daughter had to pay. A price carved into flesh and soul that official history tried to silence for 600 years. These screams came not from physical wounds, but from a secret ritual that broke the spirit before it broke the body, condemning princesses to live in shadow before they reached womanhood. For over 6 centuries, the Ottoman Empire maintained a marriage preparation protocol so sinister that even the throne's fiercest enemies would not wish it upon their daughters. It was a system deliberately erased from official chronicles, hidden behind tapestries and golden walls, and rediscovered centuries later through documents uncovered in Istanbul's secret archives in 2019. Across the world, millions of young women, from peasant girls to palace servants, dreamed of the fortune of living as Ottoman princesses, surrounded by silk, jewels, and unquestioned obedience. Yet behind those gleaming walls lived not luxury, but a nightmare so carefully refined that many of these girls came to desire death over the fate that awaited them as wives. Before we continue, I ask one thing. If this story has already stirred your curiosity, show your interest with a simple gesture. Subscribe and leave a comment with the name of a queen or princess whose dark fate you would like revealed in a future story. Whether it is Marie Antoinette, Cleopatra, or Anne Boleyn, your voice will decide which secret history tried to bury next. The Ottoman Empire cast its shadow for over 6 centuries, from 1299 to 1922. After the fall of Constantinople in 1453, the city became the beating heart of Ottoman power. Renamed Istanbul, and Topkapi Palace was erected as its most magnificent jewel. There, among gilded walls and fragrant courtyards, the fates of kingdoms and souls were decided. Within those mysterious chambers, hidden behind lattices and endless corridors, the imperial harem transformed into a parallel world where, at its peak, over 800 women resided. It was a closed universe woven from silk and power, where every breath was observed and every gesture could mean advancement or damnation. Paradoxically, the concubines, mostly Christian slaves captured from distant European lands or purchased in North African markets, had in many aspects more freedom than daughters born at the very summit of the imperial hierarchy. While women like Kosem Sultan or Turhan Hatice Sultan climbed to heights of power, directing councils and deciding wars, the princesses of royal blood remained imprisoned in a darker labyrinth. They were pawns on the diplomatic chessboard, human coins that sealed pacts, suppressed rebellions, or ensured the loyalty of powerful pashas. In this context, Princess Fatma Sultan was born in 1606, fruit of the union between Sultan Ahmed and the formidable Kosem, a woman capable of ruling from the shadows as if she were emperor herself. Fatma grew up among fragrant gardens and astronomy lessons, among Arabic and Persian manuscripts, among scholars who praised her intelligence and chroniclers who admired her beauty. From her youngest years, Fatma was an exceptional girl. She spoke 4 languages fluently, mastered Arabic and Persian calligraphy with a poet's elegance, and showed insatiable curiosity in exploring the mysteries of the stars. But neither her knowledge, nor her talent, nor her mother's protection could save her from the fate written from her cradle to be married off as a guarantee of power and obedience. The man chosen for this union was Kara Mustafa Pasha, a battle-hardened commander 20 years her senior, whose loyalty to the throne had been forged in campaigns against Persia. There was no love, no choice, not even compassion, only the cold logic of imperial politics. 3 months before the wedding, the terror-inducing preparation process began, known as Terbiye-i Mubarak, or sacred education. This ritual, reserved exclusively for princesses, had no equivalent in any other culture of those times. It was a refined product of centuries of psychological control practices designed to break the pride of royal blood and transform it into absolute obedience. Responsible for conducting the training was Gulnar Hatun, a 60-year-old woman, head of the harem, and witness to the preparations of over 12 princesses. Under her stern supervision, Fatma was introduced to the Gelin Odası, the bride's chamber, a room adorned with Persian carpets and ebony panels, where every detail reminded her of her mission and destiny. There, from dawn to noon, she was forced to practice rituals of humility. She had to master 18 different forms of bowing, positions designed for greeting, serving, lying down, and silently preparing for her husband's arrival. Even her way of walking became a discipline. Fatma learned the Urush-i-Seche, steps measured with precision, head tilted at a 30-degree angle, hands controlled to never rise above the heart. But speech was the cruelest suffering. Her vocabulary was reduced to merely 43 permitted words, expressions of gratitude, acceptance, humble request, or apology. Every deviation, every attempt to express a free thought was punished with forced fasting, confinement in reflection cells, or public humiliations. Yet the most disturbing aspect was the first night trials, called Talimi Gerdek. In the palace's underground chambers, they erected exact replicas of marital bedrooms where the princess had to face wax mannequins, anatomical figures commissioned from Venetian craftsmen. There, under the stern gaze of instructresses, Fatma was forced to practice gestures and acts no girl her age should know. Every reaction was recorded in coded registers. Her fear, tears, resistance, each sign of rejection condemned her to more sessions, more pain, more conditioning. Step by step, the young girl who loved the starry sky was transformed into a submissive body, a tamed spirit, a prisoner of ritual that stripped her of identity. The wedding night. The wedding day arrived on March 15th, 1623. While Istanbul pulsed with processions, music, and incense, and banquets were served in Topkapi's halls on golden tableware, young Fatma remained silent, with dry mouth and gaze lost in emptiness. Palace physicians noted symptoms we would today call panic attacks: trembling, cold sweats, complete loss of appetite, and episodes of interrupted breathing. When the last cup was raised and guests departed, the most terrifying procession began. Fatma was escorted to the wedding pavilion, an octagonal structure divided into 3 levels, each designated for a different ritual: purification, dedication, and consummation. On the first level, she underwent ritual baths lasting hours, with waters perfumed with Damascus rose, jasmine, sandalwood, and amber. Alchemists applied ointments containing diluted opium, mandrake extract, and mysterious substances inducing calm and submission. On the second level, Fatma was dressed in a wedding gown of white silk adorned with golden threads and Persian Gulf pearls. Though it appeared a royal dress, it was designed with hidden clasps and internal cords, facilitating body immobilization. The crown was heavy enough to restrict movement. The bracelets on ankles and wrists discreetly constrained freedom. The outfit itself was a prison embroidered with luxury. Finally came the moment of entering the third level, the consummation chamber. Its walls were covered with tapestries depicting military conquests, subjugated cities, captured princesses, defeated armies. The furniture, made by craftsmen specializing in body control, included beds with hidden rope systems, cushions soaked with calming oils, and dim lighting that transformed the space into a stage designed for breaking will. Medical documents from the era describe what happened in those hours as a complete collapse of spirit. Young Fatma, who until then had endured months of discipline and humiliation, lost all capacity for coherent response. Her body trembled uncontrollably, her voice became barely audible, and her eyes wandered as if looking at an invisible world. From that night, Fatma was never the same. She developed selective mutism, speaking only in whispers. her appetite vanished entirely. Episodes of crying began without apparent cause and could last for hours. The brilliant girl who debated with scholars, the curious teenager who loved astronomy and poetry, vanished forever. Fatma survived another 29 years after that night, transformed into a ceremonial ornament, a forced mother, and a voiceless wife. Her death in 1652, officially attributed to brain fever, coincided with the anniversary of her wedding. For many at court, this was no coincidence. Fatma Sultan's case was not an exception, but a reflection of a pattern repeated through generations. Palace archives reveal that dozens of Ottoman princesses met similar fates. Some were marked by mutism, others attempted escape through suicide or madness, and several disappeared from official registers as if they never existed. These stories, buried for centuries in cellars and forbidden archives, show that even in the deepest darkness, there were always flashes of feminine resistance. The tragedy of Fatma and many others exposes an uncomfortable truth. Absolute power does not always protect those who embody it, but can transform them into the first victims of their own greatness. Today, looking back, we understand that the imperial harem was not merely a stage of intrigue and silks, but also a theater of imposed silence and suppressed tears. What was presented to us as fairy tales about princesses was in reality a political construction that devoured the Sultan's own daughters. If Fatma's story moved you, don't hesitate to join us in future revelations. Subscribe, share this story with those who deserve to know the truth behind the fairy tales, and leave in the comments the name of a queen or princess whose fate you'd like revealed. Only by knowing these hidden truths can we remove the mask from history and finally hear the muffled voices of those who were sacrificed in the name of power.